KNDR, and on the phone with us, we're happy to have David Meece. Hello, David.
Hello, how you doing?
Boy, do you ever sound good today.
Thank you.
We heard that you'd been sick last week.
Oh, not really sick, just kind of worn out. I think there's an important difference there. Lord's been keeping me well, and been nursing a little bit of throat trouble, but that's due to the weather and everything. The weather changing and whatnot. We're going from climate to climate a lot, traveling a lot, and so it's just been really kind of rough on us. But we're feeling great, and the Lord's been blessing, and we're just excited to be here. I tell you what.
Well, you've got a southern accent. Now, I know you're from Texas originally, right?
Yeah, and I live in Tennessee now.
I know you're in Nashville. I never expected you to have a southern accent. Don't ask me why. You don't sound like it on your records.
Well, you know, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and I'm kind of more relaxed right now. And when I'm more relaxed, I tend to slip into my normal colloquial expressions. So forgive me if I seem to be a little bit hard to understand sometimes.
Have you been to North Dakota before?
I've been to North Dakota before, not been to Bismarck. Been near here, I think. Yeah, I've been in Fargo, and so I had a good time down there, but great to be in Bismarck finally.
One of our friends who's from Bismarck is Greg Nelson. He lives in Nashville now, of course.
Yeah.
And we talked to him last week and found out a little bit more about you. We have a Greg Nelson show that's on here each week.
He said nice things.
Oh, he said great things about you.
Okay, well, good.
He told us a little bit about how the song I Can See came about.
Uh-huh.
Why don't you give us your version, because he told us a kind of a funny version with you and Gloria Gaither. Why don't you tell us how it all came about from your standpoint?
Well, for me at least, you know, I had come up with this tune that I had been working on a lyric for, a good part of a year. And it's funny because We Are the Reason was the same way. I worked on lyrics on that one for about a year before I came up with the actual set that you ended up with on the record. In this particular case, I had just searched and searched. Unfortunately, I ran out of time, and the Lord just wouldn't give me a lyric for the thing, and so I had to find out who He gave it to. I knew He gave it to somebody, so I must have talked to several different lyricists, and several of them tried their hand at it. Nobody could even get a clue. And Greg helped me send a tape of the tune to Gloria, and she and I always admired her writing. Her lyrics were always very, very uplifting to me personally. And she has one of the most amazing knowledges of the Bible I've ever run across. Her scriptural knowledge is incredible. But he sent the music to her, and of course the lyric that she came up with was just it really ministered to me.
So you didn't
worked on the draft a little bit and changes in there, but for the most part, it was really she really made the song come alive. In fact, we'd already cut a track. An entire background track to the song, and we went in and totally recut the thing to better fit the lyric, you know, in the spirit in which we felt would be best served to say what was trying.
So you wrote this long distance? So she...
Yeah, right. She and I didn't get together until after she already had a lyric and I already had the music, and then we kind of got together at the very end just to kind of finalize it all, just kind of polish it up. So, but it was really great working with her.
We're really excited to hear about your family expanding. Greg and Pam told us that you just had a baby last month.
Yeah, sure did.
And they said they just dropped a baby gift by, and you've got a great wife. And tell us about your new baby.
Well, it was born August 2nd. We have a little boy that's 3.5, and he's been very receptive to the child. The baby was crying one day, though. And to tell you how kids do, the baby was crying, and Debbie, my wife, couldn't get it to stop no matter what she did. And finally, you know, she tried feeding it, she tried rocking it, everything. The baby was just crying, and she looked over at my little boy, who was standing next to her, and said, "What do you think we ought to do?" And in all seriousness, my 3-year-old son looked up at her and said, "I think just put her out." And which I guess that's what we do with the dog when it's making a noise, you know. You can't make it hush, just put it out. But it's been a real joy to have a new addition around the house.
What is that like to...
Right now, all the baby thinks about is eating and sleeping, so doesn't have much of a personality yet.
But what's that like for you as a Christian singer and performer as you travel around? What is it like to adjust to a new baby?
Well, I'm not having to adjust to a new baby.
Because you're not there.
My wife's the one that's trapped with it. Like, I'll come back when it's a little older. Okay. No, you know, I really miss it. I tell you what, normally, last fall, and in fact a good part of the spring, my wife and my little boy and my mom all traveled with me. And so I try to take them with me whenever I can. Of course, the baby's just too young still, and so right now it's not possible. But I try to take them with me. I think that's the best thing to do.
So what can these folks expect tonight? You sound pretty outrageous to me.
Well, I have serious emotional problems, but no, just a joke. I do have a good time when I do my concerts, but in addition to that, we also try to minister, and we try to say something that'll really talk to people, help them a little bit in life, to let them perhaps have a new perspective on some biblical truths that have been there all along, but maybe they've heard stated the same way for so long, and they become a little jaded, and it doesn't sink in quite. Maybe we can say it in just a little different way, that maybe it'll come alive for them again. And we know that in every concert situation, when you make yourself available to the Lord, He'll use you. It's that simple.
Amen.
And so, the people that come to the concert, I mean, hopefully they'll be entertained, they'll have a good time, but at the same time, they'll be ministered to as well.
Now,
that's what it's all about.
Some may not know that your background was in classical music.
Yes,
How?
I was a classical pianist before I got into Christian music. And,
do you when you practice, do you continue to practice some classical things?
Well, I'm not able to like I'd like to, because I'm on the road so much, and when I'm not on the road, I'm at home frantically trying to finish songs. Yeah. So I don't have the time to really just spend practicing. When I was at the conservatory, I practiced 6 to 8 hours a day of just classical stuff, and I still, couldn't get it like I wanted it. So that's a full-time job in and of itself. I enjoy playing it for my own pleasure, though. I mean, I still play it just privately. I don't have any classical pieces quite ready for performance at this time, but we talk seriously about working them back up.
I like the little beginning on the song "You Can Go." That's got a classical song.
Well, my music has been really influenced by my classical training, and I'm a big fan of classical music, so it's natural that it comes out of what I do. But I'm not able to do the total piece like I would like to do, as the classical composer wrote it. But maybe this is better, because I'm able to take elements that the great composers left us and use them to minister the gospel better.
Amen.
And that's what it's all about.
We'll finish up here, David, but we want to ask you again about Greg Nelson, just because he's kind of a hometown favorite. What's it like to work with Greg? Well, first of all, let me ask, why did you pick Greg to be one of the producers? And
we had a number of producers on the thing. But one of the reasons was I really liked his work that he had done on a number of projects, of course on Sandy Patty, but on a lot of people. And a song like I Can See, which of course it had no lyric when I first started working with him on it, I just felt like he's the person that could make it come alive. I felt like it was a special melody, and I needed that special touch that I felt that God had given him for that particular song. And it was interesting, because I had run the melody by 2 of the other producers, and they didn't like the tune. Believe that or not, I mean, they just didn't. It didn't hit them as strong, and so they did other tunes. But Greg heard it and fell in love with it, and I said, "You're the man for the job." And I must tell you, of all the producers that I worked with, and I'm not saying this just because he's the hometown boy. I've said this repeatedly. Of all the people, he was about the easiest and the best organized, and the most joy to work with of the batch, just about, because he's that kind of fella. I really loved working with him, and to this day, he and I still get together. He's not the only person. I'm not an industry character, so I don't hang out in industry circles. I spend time with my family and my friends, and Greg is a friend of mine, and he's about the only industry person I sit around and have lunch with on a regular basis.
Greg's wife said to me last week, David Meece is the only person who's more hyper than Greg Nelson.
Well, I don't know about that, but
she said you like to stay out late at night. And
I do have odd hours, but I enjoy myself, and so does he. That's why it's great to be around him.
We're very excited that you're here. We hope you have a great concert.
Thank you.
And we'll see you tonight at the Civic Center.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, David Meece. Okay. 24 minutes after 5, here's David Meece. Tonight at 7:30 at the Civic Center.